This week on the show, we have our bi-monthly news roundup. We talk Han Solo movie, robots fighting robots, and girls and Boy Scouts. Next on Legion of Dads.
Dad's home.
Hi, Dad.
Lord of the manor, king of the castle.
Well, that seems appropriate.
I am a dad.
We are dads.
We are many. We are one. We are the Legion of Dads. The Legion.
Dads.
Hello.
We are the Legion of Dads.
Join us.
The Legion of Dads.
An entire legion.
Great, Dad.
We are the Legion of Dads.
Daddy-o.
From now on, we'll be known as the Legion.
So we are many.
We acknowledge this is an appropriate metaphor. We are Legion.
We are the Legion of Dads.
You are not alone. We are all in this together now.
Hello and welcome to Legion of Dad, the show for the modern dad. We talk movies, comics, video games, and how to be a great dad. I am your host, Wyatt Kickle, and with me as always, I have my co-host, father of two, Kenneth Dupuis. Hey, Kenneth.
Hey, Wyatt, how you doing? Hey, Legion.
And father of four, Richard. Hey, Richard.
What's up?
Well,
wow.
Well, there's 1994. Come back to haunt you.
Legion of Dads kicks it old school.
Throwing it back.
Well, this week on the show, we have the news. Gentlemen, we have a lot to cover tonight, so let's get to it. First up, we have Stranger Things coming out on Blu-ray. Blu-ray. Kenneth, you want to talk to us about Stranger Things?
Well, look, we talk about this show a lot on our show, and we kind of have a fondness for it. It brings us back to our childhood with a lot of the references. Obviously, it takes place in the 80s. We're a big fan of this show on Netflix. So basically, it's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD, and Target has a really awesome collector's edition that you can get. It's already out now. You can go pick this up. I actually bought one, and it is essentially a VHS box case for the Blu-ray season of Stranger Things.
Oh, I want this so bad.
Yeah, it basically looks like a VHS case. It says VHS on it. It's all tattered up.
It says, please be kind, rewind.
Yes.
Rewind your Blu-rays, people.
And, I'm a sucker for good packaging and good marketing. So, this is like one of those ones that's perfect in terms of what the show is and the nostalgia factor of the show itself. And it plays this in to play it into the, the packaging of the show is just another, check mark for me. So check it out. We'll have the link up, but this is just kind of some news that I thought maybe some of the Legion out there that follows along with Stranger Things with us might kind of be hyped up about. Who knows? Maybe they got some young teenagers out there that can watch the show. I don't know.
I love this. I was in Second and Charles the other day. It's a local kind of secondhand store, and they had kind of in a similar vein. It was the Awesome Mix Volume 2, and I'm used to seeing things on like vinyl, but they actually had the Awesome Mix Volume 2 on cassette, and I was like, wow! Like it was at the front desk, and I was like, wow, where can I even play that thing? Like, I got to go buy a old car to just put that in the cassette deck. And that's what this looks like anyways. It looks like an old VHS tape, a well-worn, kind of what we were talking about previously on the Legion of Dads. Those old tapes that we would just wear out. We would love them so much and just wear them out. And anybody that grew up back then would know exactly what we're talking about.
And also it harkens back to a video rental house or just when I was growing up, it was man's rental because it was, personal or, is sole
It's got like the little sticker on the front.
It's got that little yellow sticker on it with ST, 300.
Like it's been through a garage sale or something.
Exactly. Well, no, it's like, oh, okay, we made hand tag stuff to put on the shelf so we knew where stuff went. It's just those little details.
I mean, the only way this could have been better for me is if they actually made a VHS just to have it. And that would have been so amazing that it would have made me get that VCR that I haven't plugged in like 15 years in my closet and plugged it up just to see what's on the tape.
Vinyl has come back. I really, really doubt VHS will come back in the same way.
No, but kudos to the guys at Netflix and the Duffer Brothers, whoever's making the decisions with
whoever the ad geniuses that came up with this one.
Yeah. What's the guy from Seinfeld, the ad guy? Yeah. So anyway, whoever did this, good job.
Well, let's talk about another story about where there's guys that made up a new title that some people, there's some controversy over. So, Kenneth, you want to talk to us about the new Han Solo Star Wars movie?
So, well, it's been called the Untitled Han Solo movie since its inception, since it was announced. It was always the Untitled Han Solo movie or that Han Solo movie that's coming out. Well, this week, director number 2 or second round director Ron Howard,
3 if you count.
3
if you count both of them.
If you keep track of it. He's been doing a lot of Twitter updates as his production wrapped up, and he basically took to Twitter to, have hey, we have finished production, we're wrapping it out, we've enjoyed everything, and then at the last minute, he holds up the sign and says, "Hey, can we announce the title of the movie?" And the title of the movie is Solo, not Han Solo, not something like Smuggler's Run or Smuggler's something another, just Han Solo, just Solo. It doesn't particularly make me really excited. It doesn't really make me mad.
It's like when they announced Ron Howard as the director. It's like, I'm not sad. I'm not mad. I'm just kind of meh.
Yeah. But it's felt like, man, watching this little video, if you haven't seen it, Legion, go check it out, because it felt like Ron Howard was doing a Ron Howard impersonation. Why he was I was like, geez, Ron Howard's really being Ron Howard about this. I don't know. It just struck me that he wasn't, jilted by the fact that he was on camera or having to be the one to make this announcement. He sounded like he was really putting himself out there. So maybe that's part of it. What do you guys think about the title?
I mean, it's minimalist. I think there are other, there's definitely probably something else you could have chosen.
Yeah. Well, everybody's going to call it the Han Solo movie no matter what.
And I guess you might as well just lean into that and call it the Solo movie.
It's just bland. It's just middle of the road. It's super safe.
I like the logo design though. It's that classic Star Wars look. The font's a little different for Solo, so it's interesting. But
is it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that S is. Well, is it?
No, look at the S in Star Wars. That's the exact same S. There's just no T connected to it.
Yeah, it's not stretched out, so my bad. But yeah, no, I mean, it's got a classic design to it, and it's whatever.
To me, it sounds like when they name a movie like Scary Movie or Epic Movie or, blank movie, this is Solo movie. This is the spin-off Solo movie.
This is the spoof of the Star Wars. This is a spoof of,
yeah, that's right. This is the cheap, lame version of a Star Wars spoof.
Maybe that's what the first directors were thinking, because they were doing a comedy bit.
That's right.
Well, I would have much preferred some kind of title that was a little more like I said, something that gave you more of a subtitle feel.
Something more like X-Men Origins.
Well, no, just
Star
like
Wars
Smuggler's
Origins,
Run.
a Han Solo movie.
I mean, they already have something that's I don't know. Just I'm not the guy that would come up with that. I would have named it Solo, okay? But I would have preferred it to be something that's a little more about what the plot of the movie is, or something like that.
Called a Kessel Run or something like that.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm not disappointed.
Ooh, or Solo Run. I could have done that.
Scruffy Nerf herder.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
because all the teasing that he did on Twitter and stuff like that, it's going to be about the Kessel Run. That's what the movie's going to be about.
In 14 parsecs.
Was it 4 or 12? I can't see now. That's the Force Awakens problem.
That is a Force Awakens
because I used to know that, and now because of Force Awakens, I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, did they say 12 or 14 parsecs in there?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm pretty sure it was less than 12 parsecs, but I could be wrong because of Force Awakens. I can't remember. It's not my fault. Well, moving on, staying in the galaxy far, far away, Battlefront 2, the Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta just ended this week. I got a chance to play it a little, put a couple hours into it. Either one of you pick up the first Battlefront?
I got to admit, I was really hyped about that first one. And then I went over to a friend's house who purchased the game and we played it for a couple hours or more. I mean, maybe, 3 or 4 hours. And I just got everything I needed to get out of it. In that 3 or 4 hours, I didn't ever see the need to purchase it, but I did. I played it. I was terrible at it.
I'm still living in a last gen cycle. I haven't jumped on board yet. I haven't made the jump, so I want to buy it. It's one of the games that I want to buy a current gen console for. That and Arkham and Shadow of Mordor.
He's playing the original Battlefront.
That's
2.
Right.
So you haven't even played the one that came out 2 or 3 2 years ago?
I haven't, but they both look amazing.
All right. Well, I own Battlefront, the first one, and like I said, I just finished the beta. And do you guys want to hear my opinion, or do you?
Yeah, give it to us.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, because you're both like, oh, I really want this game, and. Well,
oh yeah.
Rewind back to the original Battlefront, not the original one, but the one that came out on the current gen like a year or two ago. I, like you, Kenneth, was super psyched about it. They actually had a beta out just like they did for this one. I downloaded it. I played it. I got all super psyched about it. I was like, yeah. Probably on the beta like 6 hours or so, for a couple of days. And then I buy the game day one, pop it in, I play it for about maybe another 2 hours. And I go, well, this is kind of just like the beta. Like there's nothing more than what the beta gave me. It's just more of the same. And I kept playing it and playing it. I was like, well, this is kind of boring. And after about a week, I never picked it up again.
Right.
Yeah, which was really sad because it looks gorgeous and there was all this.
Unlike the Bounty Hunter game for GameCube.
With the Jango Fett one?
Yeah, you can pull the triggers as fast as you could. I never got such a workout playing video games and since the NES track game.
What game are you guys talking about?
The Bounty Hunter.
Is that what it's called on the GameCube?
It's called Bounty Hunter. It was for the GameCube and I think I had it for the PS2.
Right.
And then, you were Jango Fett. So this is back in the dark times, the times of the prequels.
The dark times.
So, and you played as Jango Fett.
Less civilized time.
Exactly. You played as Jango Fett, and it was pre-episode 2.
Oh, okay.
The best thing about the release of Battlefront, however long ago that was that I believe the PlayStation Store and, if I'm not mistaken, the Xbox Live both released on game day remasters of Super Star Wars and Bounty Hunter that you could download, you could purchase and download. I downloaded Super Star Wars from the SNES days and just got my ass handed to me by like a sandcrawler.
Well,
that's
a sandcrawler.
Mm-hmm. You obviously haven't played it.
I have not.
I've played it and beat it, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
Super Star Wars?
Oh, Super Star Wars. For some reason, I thought we were still talking Bounty Hunter. Oh, yeah. No, Super Star Wars. I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of remastered both Bounty Hunter, Super Star Wars, and if I'm not mistaken, I think either they had said that Empire and Jedi, Super and Jedi were coming out too. They may have already come out, but I hope that this new Battlefront, what I'm most excited is where it'll take us into getting some of these older Star Wars games on the current gen consoles.
So this game makes you excited for the possibility of another game coming out.
A game that has already been released and that you've played and beaten
30
before.
years ago.
30 years ago. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah.
Well, Battlefront 2, the beta, I don't necessarily know if they have fixed. Oh, they have fixed some of the issues from the first one, but especially when it comes to getting the hero characters. Before, you had to find a token to get into an aircraft or a spacecraft of any kind, or a walker, or anything like that. You had to find tokens in the world that would just spawn after somebody gets a hero token, then they got to pick if they're Han Solo, Princess Leia, or Luke Skywalker, or if you were a Darth Vader, Sidious, or Boba Fett. Whereas on the dark side, but now
does it
it's
feel
all
like
point-based.
it's just does it feel like it's just like fancy DLC for what you already played?
No, they've restructured some of the gameplay elements for the multiplayer so that it feels a little bit more balanced and a little bit like getting stuff's a little easier just because and it's more on how you play and how well you play. You get more points, and then the more points you get, then you get access to being a hero or to vehicles and stuff like that, versus just like finding them in the world.
Is this made by the same guys that make Battlefield, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So
and
Battlefield
it feels
1
very much like one of those games, just with
because Battlefield 1 was a pretty successful game for them. I mean, they had, and I mean, I know guys that still play it. They're constantly releasing big updates for the multiplayer.
Oh yeah, Battlefront 2,
fresh.
Battlefront 1, Battlefront Hardline. I mean, that's Battlefield, excuse me. I don't know. Yeah, those are all Battlefield Frontline, Battlefield. I know it's like
it gets confusing.
It does get confusing. Now, Battlefront 2, they've reorchestrated the space combat, which they didn't even have in the first one. But they had X-Wings and TIE fighters where you could do aerial combat. But now they have space combat. That's a lot of fun, but it does get, again, just tedious. It does become kind of one note after a while. But if you're into the I'm not a huge multiplayer fan. I really like the story. That's the only thing that I'm kind of itching for is that single player story, because the single player story for Battlefront 2 is you are the commander of Inferno Squadron, which is an elite stormtrooper platoon. So you are the elite stormtroopers. All the trailers and stuff like that just look interesting because it's coming from it starts at the destruction of the second Death Star. From a story idea, I really want to see what's going on. But then I've seen some of the gameplay for the single player, and I'm like, oh, this looks just like the multiplayer, just on rails. Well, that's boring. So, it's one of those things where we're kind of like, all right, I might just go on YouTube when somebody has beaten the whole game, taken all the cutscenes and put it into a half-hour movie. I'll just watch that and be fine. I'm not going to pick this game up day one like I did the original, because the original burned me pretty hard.
Do these games have any replay value?
If you are somebody that likes Battlefront or Battlefield, geez. Or Call of Duty multiplayer and stuff. If you're into the multiplayer shooter aspect of it, a lot of people are, I think that you may dig this because it's a Star Wars thing. The problem with this versus that Battlefield, you get access to real world weaponry, and then you also get to spec out your armament with scopes and suppressors and
this is real world. It's just a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Like some people really get into decking out their gear and tweaking and getting 100 different guns and tweaking out that that gun porn kind of mentality towards it. Like they love gear. Those specs. Yeah. Here you don't really get that. It's 3 classes. Those classes have armaments, and I don't know how much, because in the beta they gave you hardly anything. It was pretty much locked in. So I don't know how it's going to play, how many variations of guns you're going to have and stuff like that.
That's for a hardcore gamer, though, But for some dads like us, you're right. You might, I might not pick it up the first week. You might wait till it goes on sale. Or, I went into GameStop and bought a used game the other day for the first time in like a really long time, and I got a good deal, and I'm having a fun time. I'm playing Uncharted 4 right now. And
I picked up Jurassic Park on the SNES the other day.
Oh.
Oh,
well, you really waited. You were like, nah, I think I'll get this when I'm like 35.
I'm going to wait till it's $5. Well, so Battlefront, like any of these games, my problem with these multiplayer games nowadays is like I have waited to jump on the current gen. Have I waited too long? Like, have I missed the Destiny train? Have I missed the Battlefront train? Like, is it only good for a time when everybody's playing it, and then it's no good anymore?
Well,
I don't have any interest in playing them.
Yeah,
not really.
I'll say a couple of things about one, especially with the PlayStation. Like, you have to then get on the PlayStation Network. You have to get into their subscription thing, which I got out of. I'm like, I can't remember how much it is, but it's
on
money.
The PS4.
Yeah, on the PS4.
Oh, okay,
so you can't play for free. You got to pay to play. Yeah, which I'm not all about that. So
and it used to not be that way on the PS3.
I know with the PS4 they changed their model.
Exactly. So now you have to pay to play. And so that's a no good for me. But you
have to play with Xbox too, right?
Yeah, but I don't care enough to. Yeah, I know you have to pay to play everywhere. So, but if you're into the multiplayer thing and playing, yeah, that's cool. And honestly, if it was the three of us playing, it would be a lot different story. If the three of us could actually get together and get into a game and be on chat, that would be great. That would be a lot of fun.
Record a podcast over.
Yeah, we could record a podcast while we're playing Battlefront.
I could be playing Battlefront right now, is what you're saying. Damn it! What are we doing?
Yeah, I know.
We're doing it wrong.
We should be on Twitch. But just me going there and putting it in there, like, that's a cost barrier that I'm not willing to spend. And then on top of that, you go in there and you just get owned over and over because I got a job. I don't got time to dump hundreds of hours into these games, and people just have better reflexes than me because they are just shooting me from across the map. And there is nothing more annoying that you spend more time looking at a spawn screen than you do actually playing the game.
Yeah, and to kind of go further into detail what Richard was talking about, I don't think if you're a dad out there, or hey, we cater to the moms too.
Or a mom.
If you're a mom out there and you love this Legion of Dads show, and you're not in the current gen of consoles, I would say that I wouldn't worry too much about games passing you by, because the really good games are either going to be ported over to the next console. You're seeing a lot of
like The Last of Us and stuff like that.
Like Shadow of Colossus.
Yeah, all these. I mean, that's from like
that
PlayStation
game will not
2.
die. Yeah.
No,
that game's just from like three generations ago.
A lot of these game companies with these multiplayer games, they keep the servers going forever now.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, what's it? Team Fortress 2 just announced that they're going to like the jungle, that they're going to add maps. Like Team Fortress 2 came out with Half-Life 2. We're still waiting for Half-Life 3.
Yeah. So, my point is that if you feel like, hey, I want to jump into the next this current console, but I'm not ready right now, am I going to miss these games? Probably not. If it's a really great game, it's going to stay alive. If it's a great game. But even if you're talking about jumping in the current console, if you're looking at PlayStation, I would say hold off, because it's only a matter of time before PlayStation puts a 4K Blu-ray player in the PlayStation 4, or they announce some kind of next PlayStation.
Well, now the PlayStation 4 Pro does 4K. It doesn't. Does it not have a UHD player in it though?
No, it does 4K streaming. There's some of the games are 4K supported.
Some of the games are.
But
okay.
no.
Yeah, no. At this point, I would wait. Yeah, I would wait, because 2018 is going to be 4K land for everybody.
Yeah, and what that means is either if you want the new one, it's going to be available to you, or you can get what's out now at a cheaper price.
Just stick with waiting a little while longer. And again, unless there's a game that's coming out that you're like, oh yeah, no, I need to play that game.
So what you're saying is that great games never say die.
Look, like Wyatt said, that Last of Us game was like one of the last generation PlayStation 3 games. And it was it
And they
made
brought it
so
up to
much money.
PS4, yeah, and with a special console that you could get it with, yeah.
And it looked like it was made for the PS4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on. Great games never die.
Speaking of great games that never die, we got a new Ninja Turtles 4-player
there it is.
arcade game coming to, I guess, your local arcade?
You lie!
Do they have those?
They do.
Oh,
they do.
yay.
They still exist.
In the United States?
Yeah,
They
we've got
do.
one in one in our area.
We have two.
Oh, that's right.
We have two. I was at one Friday night for my son's birthday. Which by
Saturday
the way,
night for his birthday.
Which, by the way, there was a Star Wars game that I've been looking for everywhere because it came out in 2015. Brand new Star Wars game. And I was like, man, where am I going to find it? I kept looking at Cinemark. It never showed up. But sure enough, the second arcade in town, it's got that new Star Wars game.
Is the one you sit in?
Yeah, it's that one with that like 36-inch screen, like a foot away from your face.
Yeah, they have one of the
though.
IMAX theaters I go to, and
okay.
It was out of order when I went, and I was so
this is a Star Wars game that you guys are talking about?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's
I'll
like
have
the
to-
Star Wars arcade on crack.
So there's a Star Wars game, but there's also, I don't know if you've been to like a CC's or whatever, but there's a
I try not
Batmobile
to.
game. I know.
way.
Don't we all? But there's a Batmobile game out that's it ain't great, but you get to drive around as any of your favorite Batmobiles, and I'm talking any of them.
Oh yes, that one's a great.
If you want the tumbler, you can do the tumbler.
They also have the Rolling Stones pinball machine there, I think.
They've got the animated, like the long one. They've got the ridiculous.
I want the Batmobile from the second half of Batman Returns where it becomes a missile.
The thin one?
For a very specific reason. I just
one that fits down a wall.
What was
or
Batman's
an alley?
mentality of designing his car?
I want the Batmobile from like the 30s and 40s comic. It's just like a
with a bat head on the front.
with a bat head. You know?
Sometimes you need a motorcycle built into the front two wheels of your tumbler.
Yeah, no.
Do they have the tumbler on that thing?
I think the tumbler's on there.
A hair more sense. Just a hair.
I don't know if except the physics don't make any sense.
Is it the Battle Pod?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Going back to Ninja Turtles, did you guys play?
Duh. Duh.
Well, I didn't know. Maybe you guys grew up Mormon. I don't know.
Of course we did.
Do you have a minute to talk, Wyatt? Do you have a minute to talk?
Of course we did. Did we grow up in a bunker? No, we didn't.
He just now bought the Jurassic Park game for SNES.
I just bought
This is why I clarify, because you got.
And I bought Spy Hunter the week before.
Because Kenneth is talking about Super Star Wars. You're talking about Jurassic Park on Super NES. I got to clarify to make sure.
Well, let's let Wyatt was going to tell us something important.
Yeah,
No,
why you were saying something?
I was just wanting to talk about Ninja Turtles. Specifically, like Turtles in Time, going to the arcade. I remember my brother and I going and playing that game at Man's movie rentals with that 4-player. And if we got lucky, we would sucker 2 other kids into playing with us, and we would all play the arcade. And I loved it. And this coming back on a nice 55-inch HD screen looks amazing. And I just wanted to share that with the Legion. And apparently arcades are out there. I'd love to find this somewhere and get to actually go and play it. I also like in the link that we have from Kotaku, it has a picture of the original cabinet artwork that just looks hideous.
And I think the arcade game, I mean, you might think of arcades and you would think of just some guy standing behind a joystick, but these 4-player arcade games, like that was a totally different experience. Like that's Turtles in Time. That's that Simpsons arcade game.
The X-Men arcade.
The X-Men.
X-Men.
Like, and that's you and 4 buddies or strangers, just bonding over some like an arcade, and it's an experience unlike anything else. I'm glad it's still around, and if this game is anything like the original Turtles in Time, and it has some huge shells to fill, it'll be good.
All right. I like what you did there.
Yeah, that was good.
That was almost like a segue, as good as one of Wyatt's segues tonight.
Moving on. Richard, talk to me about New Mutants.
Recently, the New Mutants trailer for Fox's next movie in the X-Men universe hit, and it is a different take on mutants and X-Men. It is it's a younger take. Now we've seen younger X-Men, but this is more of a different genre. This is kind of a horror film with X-Men sprinkled in there. Did you guys get a chance to look at this trailer? What did you all think?
I got to be honest that I think just from the teaser trailer, it did part of what a teaser does. It got me excited to see, like what's going to come of it. I think it does feel a little bit, tiny bit cliche, like a bunch of kids in a school, and like you got the "We Don't Need No Education" song.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, and it all worked totally.
I mean, that was the best part of it. That was the best part of the trailer was the.
But man, I do give props to, if the movie is going to be this style, if the actual movie is this, not just the trailers. Josh Boone and all the producers on the X-Men series. I guess it's Lauren Shisher Donner's probably still involved, and maybe even Simon Kimber. I give them props because like totally like making a mutant film in the X-Men world that's just not this action adventure type movie.
It's not cookie cutter. It's not your It's not what we've seen before, so it's something different.
And I think Deadpool maybe helped with that,
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm excited to see it. I think it's got some good talent in front of the camera, some good young actors.
I don't know anything about these guys. Like I don't know anything about their power sets or whatever. I don't know anything about this movie. I mean,
yeah, they've had a varied roster over the years. I don't know who's playing who in terms of like which character. Wolfsbane, Maisie Williams. Apparently, she has like powers to turn into wolf. Magic, I'm a little bit familiar with. She wields a sword and has like psychic abilities.
That's not a mutant. Okay, she has psychic abilities
or something like that. Let's see. Cannonball.
His mutant power is he has a gun.
The guy Cannonball can like rocket through the air, and he's like he's invulnerable. So anything he hits, I guess he just goes through.
Can you have a horror film where you have kids with mutant powers that are invulnerable and can, light themselves on fire, and or just kind of like, these people are. It's not like a normal horror movie where okay, that person is in danger. If the person can turn themselves,
any great horror movie has also got some kind of psychological effect.
Yeah,
and I think that's what they're trying to sell.
I was watching Days of Future Past the other day, and friggin' those future mutant sentinels, like those things are terrifying. Like even if you're Colossus, who's mostly like invulnerable, they ripped him in half. It was horrifying.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I'm not impressed with this trailer is they kind of show, I think, what the bad guy might be or whatever that masked individual is. And I thought that was lame.
What was that?
I don't know. That looked real lame. And of everything you could do in a mutant universe, like some crazy monster, something or other, to do somebody with a dumb mask, like, I don't know. You
think they're going down like the slasher, like Happy Valentine or something?
I mean,
like that,
maybe it's a misdirect, but I don't know. It looked like Happy Death Day or whatever.
Well, it does look like this Anya Taylor-Joy, who is playing Magic in the film, has kind of got part top billing. And she was, if you're not familiar with her, she was like the lead girl in Split. with James McAvoy and that movie The Witch.
Well, that's confirmed then that this is a M. Night Shyamalan connection.
Well, what I'm saying is that
Are you saying it's part of the Glass universe?
exactly the Unbreakable universe. Yeah.
now she's playing magic, and she is the sister of Colossus. So there's going to be a little connection there.
Well, of course. You gotta have Colossus in a spin-off movie.
But she has some. It's not like she does something with teleportation discs, according to what I'm looking at here, and she can travel to limbo, which is I guess it's not unfamiliar what Catholics would call limbo, but another realm in the Marvel universe that's kind of between worlds. And so maybe I think that's a little mystical and religious. So maybe there's something to go off of on that. And the fact that she's got the top billing makes me think that she might be the kind of the lead in it. So,
well, who has the power to halfway come out of the walls? Because that happens like 12 times in this trailer, where people are kind of just coming slowly out of the walls.
And maybe that's because I think
Nightmare on Elm Street style.
Yeah, looking at the trailer of this, I think, I said it might be that masked individual, but you're right. I forgot about that. What I can only assume is that this is some asylum where, terrible things have been done to mutants. There's ghosts or some sort of energy that still exists there.
And is trying this girl is a psychic and is feeding on that. Oh, that's a good call.
Something's going on.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's the deal with that weird masked dude. That threw me off.
Maybe that's just it's a bait. Who knows?
It's a misdirect. Yeah.
Maybe it's
Professor X.
Professor X. Just they couldn't afford it.
It's Patrick Stewart.
They couldn't afford to make him young. They couldn't afford the CG to make him look young again.
That's what it is. Actually, that's a visual effects thing that they left in. They're going to CG Patrick Stewart's face on his face, but that's the placeholder. Just a smiley face.
So dads out there, just keep in mind, we've gone a long way from like the original X-Men here now. So probably in the same universe. But as these movies have gone on, and now you have Deadpool, which was rated R, this movie's probably I would guess it'll probably be PG-13 horror movie.
Yeah,
but,
it's young
probably
adult.
not going to be for kids.
For kids.
No, not for kids.
Not for kids. Well, do we have anything else to say about New Mutants? I mean, it's kind of like when does it come out?
April 2018.
I agree with you guys that this is kind of interesting. Maybe this is Fox just throwing spaghetti at the wall. They're like, all right, we gave, because they have not been able to really.
There's going to be some action
on
elements.
The X-Men brand in a while.
There's going to be some action elements.
They're still making money. I mean,
if they wanted to just do a straight horror film, they would have made some other horror films. So this is going to be kind of a horror thriller with some big action in it. Because you got these mutants with mutant powers. They're gonna be using them some way, somehow.
And then I also noticed now, Kenneth, maybe or Richard. So 20th Century Fox, Legion, if you don't know, they own the rights to X-Men. Marvel sold them off in the 90s when they were in dire straits. So they have all those rights. So technically, this is a Fox movie. However, Marvel's name is on it.
Marvel.
But it's not Marvel Studios.
Yeah, Marvel's name is on every Marvel movie because it's a Marvel property. But Marvel Studios is only on the movies that Marvel has the rights to because they have Marvel Studios.
Oh, so Marvel didn't have anything to do with the actual making of this movie.
I mean, they took the money.
The only other property that they don't have the rights to that they've done that with is Spider-Man. So far.
And that's what I was bringing up. Because Spider-Man
that's
Homecoming,
a different.
Okay, well, just that's why I asked, because Spider-Man Homecoming is just
what
out
are we
on
saying?
Blu-ray, and
these are totally different things.
Yeah, no, Wyatt was confused. We're just clearing it up.
Yeah. I was just confused because Marvel's logo is on there, and I'm like, well, hold on.
Yeah, the red Marvel just says Marvel. That means hey, these are Marvel characters.
Sure. Okay.
As in the comics. When it says Marvel Studios, that means that Marvel Studios produced the film.
Gotcha.
And it's part of their cinematic universe.
MCU.
Okay. All right. I was just making sure that I understand, because that kind of puts a level of like where it all lands and how crazy it's going to get, because the stuff in the MCU
It's not that crazy.
it's not that crazy. So that's actually a good thing. So maybe this will go crazy. You know, maybe they can go in left field here and give some really weird, cool stuff.
That is one thing you can say about Fox, is that they push the boundaries, good or bad. They try to mix it up. And you know what? I don't think Marvel Studios would ever give us a film like this right now.
Oh,
maybe
no,
when they run out of ideas.
I don't know, man. I think Marvel is giving us films like this right now. That's why, like, Thor Ragnarok is something we haven't seen before. That it's, from what I heard, it's the highest rated comic book movie so far.
Yeah, but I think it's going to have a lot of that Guardians feel to it. You know, the same kind of fun action emotion.
But even Guardians is something we hadn't seen before.
Well,
yeah, I think they're all like building on it. That Marvel feels like it's escalating. It's kind of figuring out. Marvel Studios is kind of figuring out, okay, people like this, so let's make sure to put these in. Oh, people like that. Okay, let's make sure to put those in. It's almost like, because I was watching Spider-Man Homecoming, and you do feel like, all right, we got the quips. We got to have those little quips in there. Oh, we have to have the cameos. Oh, we have to have those little bits of here and there to build it out.
Well, you can guarantee this film is probably going to have some kind of cameo. It would just be stupid, because Fox wants that connected world too. I mean,
So
that's
you think
why
that they're going to have a cameo from the MCU?
No, from the other X-Men movies. You know, they're going to make sure
Wolverine will just pop up. Oh, hey, bud.
Well,
won't be that
no, but Colossus would be a good
Colossus
shoo-in, because-
or Negaton, Teenage, whatever.
or even James McAvoy as Professor X. Who knows? I mean,
This isn't a prequel, is it? What
I
period?
don't know.
What time period?
I don't
I guess
know.
you're right. Yeah,
we don't know. It could be the 80s.
We don't
Who
know what
knows?
time this takes place.
We
Probably the
don't know.
90s. Yeah.
It would be awesome as an 80s horror. I mean, that would be great.
Yeah.
we don't know.
Okay.
But, you know, you could easily kind of make James McAvoy look older.
You know, that's a good point, because they were showing like that room full of screens and everything was a bunch of CRTs and VHS.
Yes. Yeah. Huh?
And then the Geiger or the lie detector and stuff like
that's
that was
right.
all
Lie
mechanized.
detectors. Yeah. Not that digital lie detector.
And that washing machine.
That's right. We don't have washing machines anymore. You're right.
That's right.
We're in the future now where
We just burn our clothes.
we just burn our clothes. Wear it once and then burn it.
Just incinerate it. Yeah.
Because, you know,
Is that a
The
Rick
climate-
and Morty skit or a Futurama skit? I don't know. That feels like I stole that from something.
I don't know. But I think that, you know, Fox has got their own world. And, you know, that's why like Colossus was in Deadpool. So it's only a matter of time before Hugh Jackman's doing something for Marvel Studios now.
heck yeah. Heck yeah. That's the one thing he said he would come back to Wolverine for, is an Avenger.
Okay. Oh, I was thinking like, what other character?
But no, but he could be
play?
somebody else too. That would be
Taken.
fun.
Or did they already do that? I think they did. And Logan.
Well, moving on to our next story is a little of a peculiar thing that came across the web. Richard, talk to us about the robot fights, because apparently that's how we're going to solve all of international conflicts in the future if RoboJocks is to be believed.
Well, and I'm thinking beyond that. You got to look past the giant robots, because we're going to
Cannot
need
look past RoboJocks. That is a classic.
we're going to need giant robots to fight the kaiju. So we got to start now building the giant robots to fight each other.
Well,
And then
Japan
we'll be
already
ready.
Japan already built a Gundam. I don't know if it worked or not, but
Well,
they
and
built
that's what this is. So listener John sent in an email this Tuesday, which we had just recorded a show. But he let us know that, hey,
Wait, is this a different John?
No, same John.
Okay, John.
Same
Hey,
John.
kudos
yeah.
to you. You're listening to all of our episodes.
That's
John.
right. Fan favorite, John.
Wow. Who's your favorite dad on the show, John?
Yes, John. Who is your favorite dad? The correct answer is Terry. Terry is your favorite dad.
All right. Well, moving
Anyways,
on. So yeah.
moving on. So, John sent us an email that said, "Hey guys, there's a giant robot fight between America and Japan. We both of these countries built these giant mechanized robots to fight each other, and the fight was on Tuesday, and it was streamed live on Twitch. Anyways, the fight can be viewed on YouTube."
I mean, I would call them jumbo robots. I don't know if I call them giant.
Not calling them what?
I mean, like what? They're 12 or 15 foot tall.
Yeah, I mean they're
not like
they're not 6 feet.
They're not like Pacific Rim robots.
No, we're not there yet. But you got to start
steps,
somewhere.
Man, baby steps.
Yeah, we've moved past Robo Wars or whatever.
What was that? What was that on Comedy Central or whatever?
Yeah, what was that?
Well, yeah, I think it was Robo Wars or Robot War. Yeah, it was. No, it was
Something.
on Sci-Fi. Yeah, we're just or Battle.
Those little battle whatever doesn't matter.
Battle
Those little
doesn't
things.
matter.
We're moving past it. So there's a human driver inside these things, and they're like 17-ton robots.
Anyways, a guy in them.
There's a guy in them, and you can.
No.
But here's the thing: it's a paintball war. Like you can watch the 26-minute video. Basically, the 26-minute video could cut down to a pretty cool like trailer, but it's a really boring 26-minute video.
So
and somewhere around the halfway mark,
safe. It's like you never feel like anyone is in danger,
and it's a little bit staged. Maybe a lot of bit staged, because if you watch toward the end, like two of the robots like fight, and then the hosts of the show have to evacuate to avoid the fight. It's a little bit staged.
Is Terry Crews
and about halfway through the fight stalls when both robots kind of get into a stalemate and or just generally stall out, so they have to reset the robots.
Now my question is, are these like MIT nerds that are building these robots, or are these like just some random dudes that are representing America?
It might be somewhere between MIT nerds and Sci-Fi Channel, like funding.
Wow, that's a big gap.
It's a big gap. But
I mean, if you look at the guys, they're just like, they're wearing like race car driver kind of suits, and they do look kind of frumpy. And
there's a lot of empty barrels and a lot of just empty cars stacked up that you can knock over, and there's a lot of shaky cam to make it exciting. It's a paintball fight, so nobody's like lighting anybody up, and there is a giant chainsaw, but anyways,
there's no blade on it, so
no, I mean, it rips open the other guy's arm, but the other robot's arm.
I love this suit, Tony.
That's right. the Ironmonger. So
but I love about the chainsaw one though.
You've been bad girl, Pepper Potts. He says. Sorry, man.
Yeah, no, but just like even when the chainsaw goes, it's like nothing feels.
Yeah, and the chainsaw
dangerous.
feels like half speed, or
because it stops when it hits the metal. And
they're trying to talk it up. Yeah, they're trying to talk it up like it's a boring chainsaw meant for cutting marble or something, but it's pretty lame.
I don't know. China has a robot. If you click on a link from that other article, it has one that they call the Monkey King.
What about North Korea? Does North Korea have one?
They have one. It's just a nuke. It's just a It's just a nuke. it's just a nuke in a Trojan horse.
It's a nuke shaped like a McDonald's bag
with arms on it.
I am a robot. Yeah. I remember seeing this online. I don't know, maybe like a year ago. They put out an announcement that they were going to do this, and I mean, it's cool that it came to fruition, but
kind of underwhelming. But anyways, check out the 26-minute video, and it exists
or not. Yeah, I kind of wish we had done a YouTube search. Like, does anybody cut this down to a
What's the name of the robot? What's the name of the American robot?
Don't make it. It's like Eagle Prime versus
Prime.
The other one's called like Coralius or something.
And the Japanese one looks pretty. Actually, the Japanese one looks kind of like one from like Hammer Industries.
I mean, it looks like a samurai.
Or Ghost in the Shell, the TV series, the first one. Kind of looks like some of their mechs. The American one, yeah, I mean, it's got like an eagle shaped thing, beak shaped on it. I don't know. It's the whole thing is.
The American one needs to have like a Budweiser.
Well, it's got an eagle head, I think. Yeah, it does. It's red, white, and blue.
I
with
really
stars
do think that they
and
did
an
miss
eagle
out on
head.
some endorsement opportunities here.
Yeah. All right.
So, that's a thing.
It's a thing.
I don't know if it's still going to be a thing, but speaking of eagles, the Boy Scouts are changing, have announced that they are going to change their policy in 2018, where they are now going to allow girls to be in the Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and eventually be allowed to obtain the Eagle Scout merit or rank. So, yeah, Kenneth, as a father of a daughter.
As a father of a daughter, I have no experience with the Eagle Scouts or Boy Scouts personally. I was not fortunate enough to go through those programs as a young person. But as the father of a daughter, now if she's into it, I think it's great. I mean, I think if she wanted to learn some skills and learn some, ways to be social with other like-minded kids and, maybe get out into the wilderness and a little bit and learn about things in a different way than school can teach you. More power to them and the girls that want to do it. I'd love for my daughter to be involved in something like that if she wants to do it. We're pretty big on not pushing her to do things she doesn't want to do if she really doesn't want to do it, because then it's just going to be a waste.
Cool. Well, let me give you a little bit of a backstory, or just kind of give what the Scouts actually put out, because there's been a little bit of a controversy about like, oh, how can you let girls in the Boy Scouts? It's in the name, Boy Scouts. So the way that the Cub Scouts are, you have your pack, and then inside that pack you have smaller units called dens. And then in the Boy Scouts you have troops that are then broken up into patrols.
And the dens are organized by grade levels. So usually like first grade will be a den, and second grade will be a den, and third grade. And then in the Boy Scouts, it's a mixed bag of ages, because Boy Scouts it's from 13 to 18. So you
throw everybody in with the Boy Scouts. So the idea is that you will be able to make packs will choose if they're going to be strictly boy packs or if they're going to add girl packs to girl dens to their pack. It's dependent on each pack what they want to do. So each community can decide.
Like
each local community decides what they want to do. The Boy Scouts of America is just opening that opportunity up because they realize, they're stating in their press release that they realize that the modern family is super busy, and the convenience factor would be really helpful if boys and girls were able to go to a single organization to get life skills, and, just the simple fact that you've got to take them to one place versus two places. That's the convenience factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they are making sure that they are going to segregate them. There will not be a mixed grouping. It will be girls and boys separated.
Yeah, I could see how you could get into some trouble with the older ones for sure. Well, especially it's all 13 to 18 and in Boy Scouts anyway, but yeah.
Well, but something that a lot of people don't know is that the Boy Scouts have been integrated since the 70s. There are segments of the Boy Scouts that actually have girls in them. Like whenever I did my experience with the Boy Scouts, I started when I was 5 years old as in Cub Scouts and went all the way up to Eagle. And I've been involved with the Boy Scouts ever since. And I think that it's a wonderful organization that creates great leaders. And I am excited that they're opening up the opportunities of being an Eagle Scout to women, to girls and to women. I think that that's fantastic. What they have done always in the past is with the Explorer program, there are females in the Explorer program. There's a piloting program that I was never able to do, but I know that that's co-ed. So this is not something that's necessarily completely new to the Boy Scouts. So it's kind of like some people are like freaking out about it. And I think that it's a little bit of people just hear that and they go, oh, you can't have, they think that boys and girls are going to be sleeping in the same tent together. And yeah, 14 or 15, that would be a problem. And they know that. So that's not what's going to happen.
Right.
But also local troops and local packs get to decide.
Well, when are the Girl Scouts going to make an announcement? Because my son needs to sell some cookies. I need to get both my daughter and my son selling cookies because I need me some Samoas or whatever they call them now.
Caramel Delights.
That's right. Samoas was too racial.
Funny enough, the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts are not affiliated.
Oh, I know that. I know that.
Yeah. Well, but a lot of people don't. So I'm just throwing that out there. And I've talked to my wife was a Girl Scout, and she thinks it's fantastic because she hated being a Girl Scout. She was like, it was boring. We didn't do anything.
Troop of Beverly Hills, y'all.
Exactly.
You don't need no stinking badges.
I'm actively involved in my son's Cub Scout pack. I'm actually the Cub Master.
Whoa, so what do you think about this?
Yeah, exactly. So I actually think this is mostly a non-issue. Like you've stated, it's not something that's being forced on anybody. It's up to each individual organization to decide whether or not they want to pursue that option, which is fine. But as a leader in our organization for the last couple of years, I've actually seen kind of the history of this, but in a real world terms, you'd have moms bringing their sons and you'd have a bunch of daughters just sitting along the wall. And all the boys are here for Cub Scouts and the daughters are just hanging out. Well, it happened so much that actually a whole Girl Scout troop formed from all these girls that were just sitting around. One of the moms was like, well, we're not doing anything. Why don't we do something? So I can see where there is a need that, if parents, single parents, or even just in, after school activities, I mean, it's demanding. So if you can take your kids to one place, if I can take right now I've got, 4 kids. If I can take them all to one place rather than the boys go here and the girl goes here and this, that, and the other, like that helps me out. It's never
next to each other. It's across town.
Yeah, no doubt. For sure.
Let me ask you guys this. I mean, I don't know the inner workings of how the Boy Scouts work, but I'm sure sometimes you go on big trips and right. That's Eagle Scouts. You could go on a trip somewhere,
well,
like the beginning of the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade type thing.
Well, let me clarify something though, just because. Richard, are you an Eagle?
Yes.
You are? Okay,
yes,
that's
I did.
what I thought. Okay. So Eagle Scout is the highest rank that you can achieve in Boy Scouts. So everybody underneath that is a Boy Scout. So when you say Eagle Scout, that's not like a
different thing.
That's
okay,
a different thing.
That's not the proper nomenclature.
Oh, give me a break.
But that's the top of the hill. That's the summit.
Okay.
That's what everybody's trying to achieve.
In the Scouts,
right, Kenneth?
In the Scouts, you go on trips occasionally, maybe a summer trip or something with your.
Oh yeah, you go on winter camp, summer camp. Oh yeah,
okay.
You do camping trips all over.
My only concern
time.
with a father having a daughter, like if I was to get my daughter involved in this, and it would be up to the den or whatever you guys said. Would there have to be like some kind of female supervision?
Now, see, that's interesting. I would assume that they are going to push more. Now, the way that Cub Scouts are set up, and correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, that this has changed, but you always had like a pack leader, which like what Richard is do, but he's the head of the entire pack. Now, in the dens, though, when I was growing up, it was den mothers that there was
a lot of the times it is den moms that are taking the lead in Cub Scouts. In Boy Scouts, it can be both. It can be both.
My mom said, "It's your turn now, Jerry."
Yeah.
Whenever I turned 12, she was like, "Thank you. I don't have to go on any more scouting trips."
But what I'm saying is like as they get older, and like the Boy Scouts, typical. So Cubs are when you're younger than, 13. I guess you guys are saying 13 to 18.
And I say 13, it's more like 11. It's
Okay, so when you hit that age,
it's 6th grade.
when you hit that age, it's like a girl. I mean, is she just going to be going on a trip with a bunch of dudes and like old men?
Well, that's where it would be separate.
Yeah, see, they haven't, we definitely know that they are going to separate out for the youth, that there will be that this troop will be, or this, pack will be, or den, I should say, will be female, and then this one will be male. To Kenneth's point, you're talking about leadership, like adult supervision. I would assume that, they're gonna have female
teenage girls sometimes need a strong feminine role model.
Oh, absolutely. You're going out in the woods with them. I mean,
well, and the other thing is, and this has been across Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, is that too deep leadership. The idea of too deep leadership, that no adult is left alone with a child, that there's always two adults around. So there's always accountability. There's, whether it's male or female, there's always accountability. And that would cover what you guys are talking about.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's been around forever. Yeah. Or at least since the 80s.
Terrible name for that, but okay. Moving on.
Would you prefer the buddy system? Because we do that too.
I don't know, but
that would work. That works well.
Gee, come on, Lee.
The other thing I want to add is my daughter is actually involved in the Girl Scouts, and I don't really have an opinion on this. However, my daughter's Girl Scout troop, they are super active. Like, she went to archery camp like over the summer. Whoa. And they go camping more than we do. So I know a lot of people say, oh, Girl Scouts, like all you do is arts and crafts and whatever. Like, my daughter is getting out there and getting stuff done. And I know it's different everywhere you go, but at least our local troop, like, they are crushing it. So,
well, that's good to know.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess that would, for the Legion out there,
kudos to the local 519
or whoever,
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, how do you know the
I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying.
For the Legion out there, check every troop, every pack is different. So
listen,
check it out.
You're a Cub master, and
that's right.
Wyatt, you went into Cub Scouts. For those dads out there or moms that are listening, I mean, how do you get involved in this? I mean, do you just pick up a phone book and look up Boy Scouts or Google Boy Scouts local and just call someone? Or, I mean, what's the first step?
Well, Kenneth, I'm glad you asked. Actually, the other day we had our roundup event at the local elementary school. So you can just Google Cub Scouts. I'm sure they'll put you in touch with somebody local to you, and they'll get you plugged in.
Right.
We just had an event where the local Cub Scout district representative visits each elementary school, because in Cub Scouts, you're handling kindergarten through 5th grade. So they visit all the elementary schools. They get them all hyped up. They pass out flyers. They give them little wristbands. We had a huge turnout to this was last Thursday, huge turnout to our sign-up event. So that's one way they do it, is that they'll get them through the schools, and our schools are nice enough to let them come in and do what they need to do. So yeah, either way, those are two ways. I mean, you can hunt them down yourself, or hopefully.
Yeah, if you go to the scouting website, I think it's
beascout.org. If I had to guess off the top of my head,
it is beascout.org. I just had a frog in my throat. And you can put in your zip code and it'll pop up, what do you want to be? And it even tells you like, youth, 1 to 5. It's Cub Scouts from.
Now, for a 35-year-old who doesn't know how to tie a square knot, where do I join? How do I
listen to this?
Involved?
All right. Listen to this. It's left over right, right over left. It's just that easy.
Yeah, really, out of all of them, that one's the easiest.
That's the easiest. But hey, that's.
Oh, trust me, you will learn. Like, just get your get your daughter involved. Like if you get your daughter involved, you will start to learn stuff that you never wanted to know in your entire life.
Well, and it's also not like you were saying, Richard, about the signups or the events you were having. It's not like you can only sign up for this at one time of the year.
No, you can come visit and sign up any time of the year.
Okay. And I'm
no,
just
it's
out
always
there
open.
anytime. For those folks that are listening to the show and may not be aware like me, and I had no clue what any of this is, you know.
And hey, beascout.org, that'll sign you up for the Boy Scouts, the Cub Scouts. If you're interested in the Girl Scouts, Google Girl Scouts and your zip code, and that should put you on the path to finding that out, that information.
Yeah. And I would just say that, you know, if you don't have an experience with the Boy Scouts or the Cub Scouts, I really suggest trying it out, just because some of my favorite memories revolve around being a scout. That was just some of the best times growing up, and some of the skill sets that I still use today apply. And I'm so thankful that was around for me all the way up into, you know, to 18, 19 years old, getting into the 18. Explorers. Well,
okay, 19. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, we'll boot you out at 18.
No, they do. They do.
You better get your eagle by 18 or you're dirt.
Well, no, I was eagle by 14.
But, whoa.
My dad was like, all right, look.
Easy, Biff.
At 15, you get a you get a permit and you get a license. Then you're going into high school. That's girls.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
You are done. You have to get it before you're 15. So
I mean, my group barely made it, but yeah, if I had, and I've told my son when he graduated Cub Scouts, when he crossed over, I was like, listen, guys, get this done as soon as you can. Cause once you get into high school, I mean, do it in middle school, do it in junior high. Cause once you get into high school, you're going to have after school activities, extracurricular, band, sports, girls, like you're going to have a car, you're going to have some
all
freedom.
Kinds of new
like this
video
is
game consoles.
This is going to become less of a priority. So get it done now.
Yeah, no, that was probably the smartest thing that my dad did, was like just really in terms of scouts, but to push me to get it done before I was 15, because there has been no way. Now I continued on with the Explorers.
Yeah, cool.
And did some really cool things with them, but that was, 4 or 5 times a year versus every single week. Every single week there was a meeting, and then every other weekend was a camping trip, or 2 weeks in the summer. And
it's usually once a month or something.
Right.
So Kenneth, what Wyatt's talking about with Explorers is that there's kind of the core Boy Scouts, and that's up until you're 18, but there's some expanded opportunities. There's a sea sailing one. I know some Sea Scouts that are co-op, like some co-ed, right. Boys and girls, like 15 to 18. Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, they kind of cross over. There's venturing, which is kind of a camping and high adventure. So there's kind of some niche stuff that you can do.
You can focus on particular.
Beyond just Boy Scouting, which is kind of a general all-around leadership program. You can really get plugged. And why do you remember the kind of the age on the Explorer program? I mean, you were saying 19.
I was there for 2 years, from 16 to 18, 19.
Okay. Okay. Very cool.
Somewhere around there, I kind of phased out.
Cool. That's some cool stuff. Cause I had a friend in high school that she was a Sea Scout, and they'd go sail sailboats, I don't know.
Yeah, mine was with the Explorers. It was really cool because we did sailing one time. We partnered with the local fire department, so I did a lot of EMT work. I was like a volunteer firefighter for did some volunteer firefighting and stuff like that with them. So it was a really cool time. But again, though, it was compared to my experience with the Boy Scouts, it wasn't nearly as those were shorter time spans, but more intense, versus Boy Scouts was, again, it's every week we had a meeting, and then
One, it's like
Once a
6
month
years of your
you're-
life. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
then
I
once a
spent-
month you're camping.
Yeah.
I spent time in a different den, the brainwashing of young church minds, church camp, and youth retreats. So we learned how
I thought we were going to bring up showgirls again.
No. We're gonna, that's where I spent. I learned how to defeat the devil instead of tie knots. But this is a cool deal.
The whole thing is fun. But
Indeed.
anyway, so
Best memories.
all right, so Boy Scouts, you can make that check out too. No.
Yeah.
Because one of the cynical response to this is that membership is down. So this is just a cash grab for the Boy Scouts.
Well, and I've heard some different responses.
Yeah, I've heard some different responses too.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, but I hope that this, like you were saying, like this is a non-starter and that really people see the benefit of it. It's going to make it more convenient for families. It's going to open things up to 50% of the population that didn't have it. And there are some wonderful things, some wonderful leadership skills that you get from the Boy Scouts, and also some great embarrassing stories that will not be shared on this podcast. But, after a couple beers, I'll tell you some fun stuff. So now we move on to what's new at the movies and TV. So out this week, we have Stranger Things Season 2. Now, I don't know about you guys. I'm not very excited about this at all.
Because you haven't seen it.
Oh, I have.
What?
That was sarcastic.
Oh. Wait, when did you see it?
I've been binging Netflix like no one's business over the past like 4 days. I've actually seen everything on our What's New this week.
Yay. I am behind then.
My eyes hurt.
Yeah, I haven't seen everything on here. Well, I haven't seen any of these on here, to be honest with you. So.
Oh, I thought you put our second piece on there.
I did. I put both of them. I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Well, Stranger Things Season 2 coming out. We talked about Season 1 earlier in the show with the Blu-ray. It's amazing. I binge watched Season 1 just to get ready for Season 2 because it's coming out on the 27th?
It's the 26th.
26th? Curses.
No, it's the 27th.
Is it?
Friday. It's Friday.
Well, I thought it was like Thursday at midnight.
Well, but that's Friday.
Well, yeah, but Thursday for anybody like us.
And we also, from Netflix, pretty much our favorite place to watch shows apparently these days, Mindhunter on Netflix. Have you gentlemen had a chance to sit down and watch the most David Fincher-esque thing I've ever seen in my life?
No, but I'm looking so forward to it.
Oh,
I want to when
I
get
love
back to
David
it.
Fincher.
Oh, then you're
so
going
much.
to love this because you can play David Fincher bingo.
Yes.
And you're like, slightly green tint to the color grade? Check.
Yes.
Following cars from above? Check.
Man.
Huge text on the screen that covers it from end to end? Check. Dark, depressing narrative? Check.
No handheld.
Does he do no handheld? Yeah, I guess he's all dolly moves and basic stuff, but yeah, he's all on dolly.
Does he do a shot where it's raining but you're looking down?
Everybody does that shot.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's a good shot.
It is a good shot. I don't see. That's the problem with binge watching something over like a day period. It all just meshes together and I don't remember any rain.
Yeah. Well, funny thing about the Mindhunter show, which I'm really looking forward to, is that one of the guys that's, I guess, kind of credited as the creator, Joe Pinhall, he actually wrote kind of a movie that I kind of feel was underrated back when it came out in 2009, was The Road with Viggo Mortensen, directed by John Hillcoat. It's kind of a post-apocalyptic man going through the wilderness with his son. Did you guys ever see that?
I know what you're talking about. I've been meaning to see it, but no, I haven't.
Yeah, I kind of felt like it was an underrated movie for its time. Like, you know, like Robert Duvall's in it, Guy Pearce is in it, Viggo Mortensen, Charlize Theron. So check that out. I mean,
what was that called again? I missed that.
Just The Road.
The Room?
The Room with Tommy Wiseau.
The Road, the post-apocalyptic one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was super dark.
Yeah. So that was the guy that's kind of credited as the creator on this. He wrote that film. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
If you like Mindhunter, you might give that film a chance. If you like The Road, definitely maybe check out Mindhunter.
Sweet. And then also, funny enough, so I'm at my parents' house and I'm helping go through some boxes, and I find a box full of books, and I'm starting to go through the books, and guess what I found in a box of my dad's old books?
Playboys.
Showgirls. No.
Sorry,
I
guys.
found the book Mindhunter inside the FBI's elite serial killer unit from 1995.
Man,
Now, when
did
did
you
you do
right?
this?
I found this about a week and a half ago.
Okay.
Did you read it?
Not yet, but I want to
Sweet.
now. After watching the show, I'm like, I so need to read this. I had heard about this book a lot, but I never picked it up. But then I was going through and I was like, oh, what's this? I'm like, holy cow. Must read. And then I told my dad to watch the movie or the TV show. I was like, you have to watch this.
Well, isn't that book kind of where like some of those crime writers, novelists, like the guy that wrote Manhunter or Red Dragon?
Probably. I mean, it's from 95. It's been out for a long time. And I've heard about this book several
he wrote
times.
that earlier. He wrote Red Dragon before that. But yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah. Well, another show that's coming out or has now been released is Star Wars Rebels.
But yeah, basically this is what's been quoted as by the higher ups the last season of Star Wars Rebels. I've enjoyed each season so far. And for those guys out there that are listening to the show that haven't seen any of the seasons, but they've got access to the new season and want to just watch it, we're going to probably link this video that we found. Basically is a recap of everything that's gone down in the first 3 seasons that you need to know.
This is probably my favorite Star Wars in this kind of new, since Disney took over. Rebels is my favorite.
Oh, really?
You know, putting it up against Force Awakens, putting it up against Rogue One. Like this is what I love. I love the characters. I love where they've gone with it.
Well, that's what Lucasfilm and Disney are doing with all this property is spreading it out so that it can appeal to different types of folks. Because, you know, like you say, you love Rebels, and I've talked to some people that are like, they just love Rogue One. Like it's the best Star Wars movie in the current thing they've ever seen. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I didn't think that, but okay. So I'm really excited to see where this goes and see if it kind of ties into what they're doing with any of the films. I mean, I'd love to see some of these characters in different situations.
It definitely will, because, I mean, they've tied it into Rogue One.
Yeah, they definitely did that.
You can see the main ship, which is basically like their Millennium Falcon, which is the Ghost. You know, it's the iconic ship of
Oh, you can see Chopper, too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Chopper.
Yeah, like when Cassian is walking up to her, or she's walking up to Cassian, and they're all like, "Yeah, we're with you." When she's like, "I'm not going to go do all this," and he's like, "Yeah, I've done things," and right in the background, you can see Chopper going through the frame.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
okay.
You have to rewatch Rogue One just to try to find that.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think that this series did something that Rogue One, the thing that I love about Rogue One is the Darth Vader hallway scene. Like that is by far my favorite part of that movie. I mean, the rest of it's okay. There's nothing, I'm not dishing on Rogue One. I think it's an okay film. It's fine, but
Aren't you?
I know I'm trying not to, but it does kind of sound like I am. I think Rebels though made Darth Vader scary again. And this is before Rogue One
Hashtag
happened.
make Vader scary again.
Yeah, it made him that guy. Well, I mean,
Rogue Sith Lord. It made him indestructible, and everybody was running away. They're like, we don't know what this is. We just know that it is pure hate.
Yeah.
And it's the dark side, and we need to get away.
Rogue One put them, the man behind the curtain in your face and said, "This is why everybody fears Darth Vader to some extent. This is why they're fearing him." And Rebels really did it like in this slow burn way and kind of an elegant way, to that when he does show up, and the few times he does, you're like, "Oh, it's Darth Vader! Oh no!" Like you're really like afraid. Yeah, you're really afraid for the characters.
It is a little bit like that. I mean, the first season of? Yeah, I think it's the first season where he shows up, and James Earl Jones reprises the voice and does a better job than Rogue One, because Rogue One, he just sounds tired.
Well, then also the end of season 2 Rebels was like amazing. Good. It was like, I mean, I watched all of the Clone Wars.
I think that's the deal, though. If you've been invested in the Clone Wars, and especially in Ahsoka Tano as a character,
totally.
If you don't know, Legion, Ahsoka Tano was a character that they made in the Clone Wars who was super annoying. She was the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, but then through the series, they wrote her into an actually interesting, well-rounded character that people loved.
I would completely agree with how you described that. Yes.
Right, because at the beginning of it, you're like, I hate this character so much.
Yeah.
And then
a regular Wesley Crusher.
It was like what they would have wanted Wesley Crusher to turn into.
Yes.
Because she was super annoying in the movie, the Clone Wars movie, and then she was not very. It just took a while to find her footing.
But once they did, and they really grew that character in some ways more so than what you would call the title, the characters of like Obi-Wan and Anakin in that, in some ways.
I mean, I would say that I agree with you. She's more rounded than Obi-Wan Kenobi or even like
Rebels
Anakin,
just kind of
like
puts the extra little accent mark on her character that you're just like, oh, okay.
I go gaga over Rebels. I think that it's really. See, there's a few episodes here and there are kind of filler, but it's something that the boy and I can sit and watch, and I love that about it. I love sharing Star Wars with him. And no one talks about trade disputes. No one talks about
Rebels is a prequel, and so is Clone Wars, but Rebels is a prequel that like made Star Wars prequels cool again. Like Lando's in it, and he's like awesome.
Yeah, they've tied in all the classic trilogy characters has been really nice. How the Obi-Wan Kenobi, how the Darth Maul Obi-Wan Kenobi storyline ends is not as visually visceral as the Legends comic has, which I think Richard has talked about in the past. I would argue, though, what they did, though, in canon is better. Like from a character, from a storytelling point of view, it is super well done.
If you follow the Darth Maul arc and the Obi-Wan arc through Clone Wars to Rebels, it could bring a tear to your eye.
And that's also a great thing. I do love that the Darth Maul storyline, because if you just watch the movies, you have no idea that they actually took this character.
Yeah, you have no idea that he's actually a character.
Right. That he actually has a great story arc.
Yeah,
where he rises and falls.
Right.
Like rise. No, just it's such a poetic piece, and then also even Saw Gerrera has a little bit of, you can see his build. So then that makes, if you are a fan of Rogue One, you should go back and watch Clone Wars, a few episodes of Clone Wars with Saw Gerrera, because then you can see how he's coming back to where he is.
He's coming back to Rebels this season.
Yeah, because we know where he dies, and we know how he started, and now
we just got to find out what that creature really was, the Bacca Fluke or whatever that
That's still that whole thing. I'm just like, what was that? Why was that even in there?
You're here to kill me. I love it though. I love what he did. Everybody always rags on crazy Forrest Whitaker. I love him. Ever since I'll watch anything that Forrest Whitaker gives if he's like, all right, I gave this the business. Because after what was that, Richard? Like Shield season 4.
That was Battlefield Earth.
No, but man, Shield season 4 or 5, where he was like Detective Kavanaugh. I just fell in love with Forrest Whitaker as an actor. And now they brought him in Star Wars, and he's awesome.
And then also, if you're a fan of the extended universe, you get Thrawn coming into canon. Grand Admiral Thrawn. I was a huge Heir to the Empire fan, and Timothy Zahn, all of his books as a kid. So I really love those, and having that character, which I love so much, come into canon. Also, if you played the
when are they going to bring in Dash Rendar and Prince Shizor?
I don't know, but did either one of you play Star Wars TIE Fighter?
Don't drag me into this.
I don't recall if I played. Is that the one that had like the movie?
No. Richard, did you play it? Did you play it?
No.
Oh my goodness! It's the best.
I played Rogue Squadron.
Oh, that is such.
He played
that is
Jedi.
a shadow.
He played
that
Jedi
shadow.
Starfighter.
Okay, so
in the episode 1 game,
you had this small time in the 90s where they had flight simulators for X-Wing. The first one was called X-Wing, which was good, but then they had TIE Fighter, which was like the sequel to it. And you were a Imperial pilot working your way up through the ranks and flying TIE Advance and TIE Interceptors and TIE Defenders. And they introduced Grand Admiral Thrawn, and it was so good. And I spent like so much of my life.
All right, so you played that flight simulator like in the original Star Wars when Darth Vader's coming down to shoot Luke in the trench. It's like it looks like he's chalking up a pool cue or something on the controls. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. Where he's dialing in his scanner.
I love Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, and I'm like, what is he doing?
He's dialing. It's a little dial. He's
not even
dialing
looking.
His targeting computer. He's
why is he using the Force?
He's changing the resistance.
Why is he using the Force?
Anyway, so if they would update TIE Fighter and re-release that, I would buy that in a second, and then probably my family would never see me again because I love that game so much.
It'd be like 640 by 360 on your screen.
I don't care. It was stupid too. It was like you would fly around and like scan for cargo, like contraband and rebels. It was all in real time. It was real slow. But I loved
chalking
it.
Up pool cues.
Yeah, just chalking up pool cues all over the place. All right. Well, that's what's out this week. Now we'd like to move on to RecomenDADtions. Richard, you haven't talked in 10 minutes because I've been ranting and raving about Rebels and video games from the 90s. What is your RecomenDADtion this week?
All right. So speaking of from the 90s, if you've listened to anything from this podcast, we love some retro consoles.
Well, you love some retro consoles. Let's clarify.
We love some. I stand by my statement. We love some retro consoles, and this week I want to mention the Sega Genesis Flashback. Now there have been previous iterations of this system. This one specifically, it's from At Games, and it's the newest version. It's basically, in a way, the SNES Classic for Sega Genesis.
But they kind of did it better because it's got a lot of games, man.
But listen to this. Well,
that's what happens when you don't have Nintendo strangleholding.
Well, there's two things. I mean, there's some good and bad about it. A, it's $80, same price as an SNES Classic. B, you can probably find the thing. But one thing I really like about it is that it'll actually play a lot of your old cartridges. You can plug a cartridge into this thing.
Bang. Okay.
So you can add games to it. Now they've had previous versions that I've heard.
No.
I've heard they've had previous versions that were terrible. I mean, look just like this thing. You've probably seen them last Christmas.
I've seen them like at a gas station.
Yeah, I've heard the sound. It's an emulator, so the sound is just garbage. I think this is better. Now it doesn't play every game.
One for a gas station, though.
Yeah. Now it doesn't play every game. I mean, but the majority of the licensed games it will play, and it comes with a bunch of games in it. And these, I mean, I'm a Nintendo guy, but if I were to buy a Sega Genesis system, this might be it, because it comes with Altered Beast. It comes with Sonic, Golden Axe,
Mortal
Sonic
Kombat
and Knuckles,
1, 2, and 3.
Mortal Kombat, Virtual Fighter, Vector Man.
Sonic.
Like, it's kind of hitting all.
Now it's got Sonic and Knuckles as well.
Yeah, it's hitting all those kind of high points for me. Yeah. And on top of that, you could add your own games to the system.
Can you get a cartridge and like unlock a game in the software, or just you play that game?
No, you just play the game like a regular Sega Genesis.
Now, does it go out HDMI or anything like the...
I believe it does. I believe it's a modern system, HDMI. It's got
HDMI out, 720p HD output.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's got a menu system that I hear isn't that great.
It looks like
wireless controllers. Hey.
And they were saying that like last year, the previous versions were garbage. This one's actually...
I seen one at Target right next to where the NES Classic was supposed to be for like a year. And I was like, oh...
And for the longest time, I was like, man, that would be a good alternative. Well, it turns out that was garbage. And this one might actually be a decent replacement of a Sega Genesis. So that's my recommendation. And plus, it's got Master System games.
On one? Is that what you're saying?
Okay. I have not. So I have no personal experience. But based on this Kotaku review, it's fine.
A ringing endorsement.
If you scroll down to the bottom, it's fine.
Well, Kenneth, what is your recommendation this week?
All right, fellas. My recommendation is something that we've actually talked about in our news section on a previous show, and that is
Showgirls?
Showgirls VHS Blu-ray box.
Whoa!
Deluxe and double D edition.
It is a Movie Pass subscription. I got excited about when we talked about it a few shows back, signed up for it. It did take a good while for my card to come in the mail, my Movie Pass card. And that's because a lot of people signed up for this service.
Also the hurricane.
Well, a lot of people signed up for this. Well, plus that, but a lot of people signed up for this service since that original announcement of the $9.99 a month plan.
Well, we do have a lot of people that listen to the Legion here, so
yeah. Well, $9.99. Here's the deal. I've used it. The apps.
For a power influence.
Exactly.
Here's how it works. Basically, you $9.99.
Every one of our listeners went out and bought a card.
Go on, Richard. Kenneth. Sorry.
$10 a month. You get to go and see any movie you want once a day, as long as it's not a 3D or what they call like a premium event movie. Like at our local theater, we have like an XD screen, and it's like a bigger screen and crazier sound. So that's kind of one of the more premium theaters.
Well, does it also like black out? Sometimes they, or at least the theaters around here, sometimes have like 1 or 2 night showings of some. They'll either do like the Met, or they'll do
I haven't caught that
special screenings or anything like that. Are those blacked out?
I can't.
What about like that Studio Ghibli?
Yeah, those kind of like special presentations. I don't know. I don't know 100% on that, but as far as I know, you should be able to now, unless it's like a special presentation where it's like an uprated charge. So if you had to pay like a bigger charge to go see that,
If it's a regular price ticket,
if
you're
it's
okay.
like regular priced non 3D or non, and basically, if it's an e-ticketing theater, chances are you're going to have your ticket right on the app. But if it's a non e-ticketing theater, you have to be 100 yards from the theater. You select the movie time, and it loads the price for that specific movie at that specific time on your card, just enough money. And it's a MasterCard, and you go up and pay for the ticket. And you can still get your theater reward points for it, anything like that. Now, some of the other cool things that this company is doing is they are talking about in the future adding both possibly family plans and a plan that lets you buy tickets in advance. Because right now, basically, you got to be there on the day of the ticket. Go up to the theater, and you got to buy it in person. You can't just buy it and hold your seat. You can't basically say, in 2 weeks, I want to go see this movie. But
You can use it for like a force for episode 8.
6.
No, you couldn't use it for episode 8 to buy advance tickets. But if it's not sold out, you just go up and buy it on the day.
Gotcha. All right. So you go to the app, you select what showing you want, and then it loads just that amount of money onto the card, and then you go buy it just like you would any other.
Yeah. And sometimes, yeah. Now, the theater I went to, that's how it worked. But I believe another one of the theaters I commonly go to it's an e-ticketing theater, which means you just buy it like on Fandango or something. Puts a barcode.
It's an adult-only theater.
It shows only showgirls. No, it puts that little,
It's just on a 24-hour loop.
It puts the little QR code ticket on your phone, and you should just be able to scan it from there, so you wouldn't even need the card. I think that's how it works. I haven't experienced that because I only use it at the theater where I had to use the card.
Well, and how do you see that? How long have you had the card?
I've had the card for about a week and a half now.
Okay. And do you feel like you're going to go to more movies?
Yeah. I mean, even if I go to the current movies that I usually go to, I try to go to a movie like once a week on like the deal day. One of our local theaters has a deal. It's like $5 any like movie that day. Non 3D.
Oh, wow. So really, this makes it even more convenient for you because you don't have to go on those days now.
Exactly.
And one ticket and you're done. You've got.
And I go see one movie a day for $10 a month. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. The thing that I really love about this concept is that idea that it would open it up to almost like that Blockbuster. Whenever the Blockbuster went, before Netflix, okay, you can just rent a movie a day,
right?
Or have a movie out. And I watched so many more movies because of that.
Yeah, but wasn't that the like final peg in the coffin of Blockbuster?
Yeah,
like giving it
Netflix
to Netflix
went to Blockbuster when they first started out and was like, let's join forces. We'll be the digital arm. We'll do Blockbuster through the mail. And they were like, get out of here. We're Blockbuster. And then
they died.
Exactly. Then like 4 years later, they went, you know what? That was a good idea. We should probably start that. Oh, we're 5 years too late.
Yeah. And they started written stuff like online and yeah.
Yeah. Then
I used to watch, like I caught up on so many shows because I was a part of that Blockbuster deal and it was better than Netflix for the time because you could rent them in the mail and then return them and get a free rental when you returned it. So while you were waiting on something in the mail, you had something at home. And then plus I was watching The Shield, the greatest show on television.
RecomenDADtion is Blockbuster.
and yeah,
it's the Shield on Blu-ray.
And they would actually give me the whole season because the worst thing is trying to watch. Yeah, because the worst thing is trying to watch a season of a TV show disc by disc.
The Shield's like
4 episodes at a time.
Bomb in the last 2 minutes, and you're like, what? And you just
next time.
Yeah.
Previously. Sweet butter.
So I think that if this was, I really wish that this was around in my 20s because with Blockbuster, The ritual was, all right, get off of work, drive straight to Blockbuster, get a disc, drive home, make dinner, watch movie. If I probably would have died of malnutrition because probably would have been work, movie theater, eat popcorn at movie theater for dinner, and watch movie.
Well, I'm really looking forward to them maybe opening up a family plan, which is basically you get like a couple of cards, hopefully, or one account that you like pay $20 a month.
Yeah, for like $20 a month for
something.
like 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah, because my wife was going to see a movie today with the kid, and it would have been great to have some option where I wouldn't have to try to finagle like putting my account on her phone or anything like that, which we didn't even try because it was just like too much for me to do.
Well, I mean, yeah, couldn't you just give her the card and select the movie, put it on the card, and then give her the card?
I think you can only have that app signed into the app on like one device at a time type thing, and then it pings your location. I don't know. I just didn't feel like figuring it out, and so I just said
a guy in glasses and a black suit walks out.
Yeah,
it's like retinal scan, Kenneth Dupuis, please.
Yeah. I could, yeah. So I've got one of those coin cards, so I could technically load up the card on there and see what happens, but who knows?
Oh, cool! You got one of those coin cards. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see. All right. Well, my recommendation this week is the Apple AirPods. I picked these up a couple of weeks ago and have been loving them ever since. This may be the best designed product Apple has made in a while. I'm not a huge fan about how they look, kind of dangling out of your ears. I wish that they came in a different color than white.
Matter of time.
Well, actually, there is a company that you can buy them through, and you can get them in any color. You can get them in glossy. You can get them in matte. You can get them in all colors. You can get them in patterns and stuff like that. The only problem is that they're retail for like $149. Let's see, $159. They retail for $159. But these people, like, they retail with a paint job for like $300. So it's like,
wow,
I don't care that much. So the thing that I really love I've had a couple of wireless Bluetooth earbuds or headsets, and they're just awful. They're usually the ones that are like around the neck, and then it's a wire up, and they're really just bulky. They're okay for running around, but I was looking for something that I could walk the streets with. And walk around downtown and still have the podcast or the book in my, going in one ear, but, and then have the other ear open. And these
listening to your own book tape and listening to your own podcast.
Yeah. Listening to the Legion on a loop all week long. So the cool thing about it is that they are both independent devices. They both have an internal.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they both have. So you can just do one at a time, and they both have internal batteries. The case itself is the best design case for any device I have used, period. It looks like dental floss case, but it is so well built. The they got
AirPods, the wireless charging case coming soon.
Well, that'd be cool too. But
just cheap charging.
I'm not on the wireless charging bandwagon.
Well, no, I'm saying like some cars are going to start coming out with a Qi system built into like a little area where you can.
That's going to be dope. Well, you still have to use the lightning port, but it's the same. Yeah. It's the same cable that you use for your phone, so that's convenient. I got tons of those laying around. The case itself is a battery, so you put the AirPods into the case. You plug the case in, it charges the AirPods and the case. Then whenever you use the AirPods, you pop them out of your ear, you put them in the case, it starts charging them. So they are always charged, which is fantastic. They are really, really nice. I really like them.
My fear with them, everything you said is like made me want them even more. My fear is like, how is the build quality on the AirPods themselves? I mean, do you feel like if you drop them, they're going to break or not work? I mean, are they heavy? Are they really light? Are they going to, you going to lose them easily?
The problem is that it depends if you're a forgetful person. The thing that I make sure I never put them in my pocket.
They're either in the case or in your ears.
They're in the case or in my ear.
Right.
Now, the cool thing is, like, if you're listening to a podcast, you're listening to music or whatever, and you walk up, like when I walk up to a cashier or something like that, I don't want to, I find it rude to have your earbuds in. Even if there was nothing playing, I figure that that's kind of rude. So if I have one in, I pull it out. The cool thing is it has a proximity sensor. As soon as I pull it out, it pauses the show.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then I put it back in, and I put it back in, it starts back up. Like, I don't do anything. It just knows. It knows it's back in my ear. You can double tap on the flat part of it, and Siri will activate with voice command.
I'd say that's worth
voice
about
commands are
2 of those Sega Genesis flashbacks.
So those are really cool options. And they fit really well in my ear. I run with them and they haven't fallen out. I took them to the gym. I have another headset that I really like at the gym that's really solid, but it's big and bulky. But I did run with these I was like, let me test them out and see if these work. And they didn't fall out my ear. And it seems that the cable, because they fit in your ear if you use the traditional Apple headphones that come with your phone. It feels very similar to that. So if you hate that feel, don't get these. But if you are okay with that feel, then you'll be fine with these. They're actually maybe a little bit better quality of sound, and then they fit a little bit better, but it's very similar to that.
Well,
now, you don't have that cable coming out of it.
Right.
So I think that's whenever, if you've been running with yours with the cable swinging, that's what pulls it out of your ear. The device itself, it's pretty solid in the ear.
Well, Beats has some wireless Bluetooth headsets that are shaped differently and that they market a little more towards runners too. So you might check those out if you hate this, if this design hurts your ears or something like that.
Yeah, but just from a daily audio, earpiece, these are fantastic, and they go in the ear easy. They're super convenient. And the fact is that the same cable that charges this charges my phone.
Yeah.
It's one less cable. I love that. The thing, and they work really well with an iPhone. So if you have an iPhone, and the pairing is the best part. Because
tell me
I don't
about
know if you guys have paired Bluetooth headsets before, but they're a pain in the rear end. This one, the first time you pair it, there's a small recessed button on the back. You press that and open the lid, and almost instantaneously a thing pops up on your iPhone going like, would you like to pair these? You say yes, boom, they're paired. And if you want to pair them or activate them again to use, you just open up the case and it automatically pairs it. I've never had a problem. And if you're on the latest.
So let me ask you this. Say you have your Apple Watch on, you have these in.
Yes.
What happens when you get a phone call and you answer that call with your Apple Watch?
Then it goes to the earbuds.
Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good stuff.
All right, Apple. All right.
All right, Richard, wake up.
What?
Mom? What's going on?
No,
Showgirls?
Granny, don't.
What? No, Granny.
Richard, where can people find us?
All right, Legion, we want to hear from you. Send us your questions. What do you want to hear us talk about? If you're musically inclined, could you make us an intro for our different segments? Please.
We're lazy.
You can, because we can't do that. But certainly somebody out there can. You can contact us at legionofdads@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Like and subscribe on the relevant social medias or visit legionofdads.com.
And we like to end each show, our quote unquote short show.
Yeah, good Lord.
with our.
We did it again, fellas. Knocked it out of the park.
We like to end with our last laugh, our dad joke of the week. Richard, do you have a dad joke for us this week? No. Who put this joke in here?
I did. I think I'm going to be taking over dad joke duties for a while, so I've got some I've been saving up. Anyway, here you go. Hey guys, where do sick boats go?
I don't know. Where do sick boats go?
The dock.
Wah, wah. And with that, we're out. Thank you, Legion.
Legion out.